going to cut right to the chase for this video. And I'm going to tell you that real estate investing is not the industry to be relying on luck. Luck has never done anyone any favors in real estate. You're putting a lot of money into something and you're hoping that it performs, and you just sitting back, crossing your fingers, hoping it works out, not a good strategy. The good news is it's not that hard to not have to rely on luck. We're going to talk about that a little bit. What is required in order for you to not be reliant on luck? But this luck thing, I know it's a big thing because I can't tell you how many people either ask me or I hear them asking in forums or whatever. They're like, hey, I found this property. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a good deal? Well, if you, the investor, don't know the answer to that yourself, or you don't know what things to look at in order to determine if it's a good investment, if you go forward on that investment at that point, you're relying on luck. Again, not a great strategy in this industry. So I'm going to tell you how to counter that. How can you not be reliant on luck? And then I'm going to give you some actual steps and actual things that you can do to help further anchor you not relying on luck. Okay, so let's do this. If you're not going to rely on luck and hoping things work out with an investment, what do you need? Any guesses? Here's what it is. You need knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the less dependent on luck you're going to be. Knowledge, in some cases, also translates to skills. In order to have skills, you have to have knowledge. Knowledge doesn't always translate into skills, but they kind of go hand in hand. So if you think about like a spectrum, if you have no knowledge or skills, you're going to be 100% dependent on luck. If you have a ton of knowledge and skills, there might be some luck component there, but for the most part, luck is not what's going to get you there. So you want to increase your knowledge. So if we think about knowledge and skill, what do those two things translate into? Control. The more knowledge and skills you have, the more control you have in your investing and with your investments. If you're reliant on luck, you are not in control of the process. You're not in control of the investment. You're not in control of the property. If something bad happens, you're just like sitting back being like, uh-oh, hope it works out. The more knowledge and skill you have, the more in control of your investments you can be. That's huge. And that's one of the biggest advantages of real estate investing. Unlike something like stocks where you just put your money in and, it may not be totally luck, but there's a lot of luck component. But you don't have any control over what that company does or what the dividend, you don't have say in all of that. You have to sit back and ride the wave. In real estate, in most of the strategies, you do have control. But if you don't have the knowledge or skills to back it up, it's not going to be super helpful. So think about certain words combined. Luck versus skill. Fear versus knowledge. What's the biggest reason people have so much fear? They're lacking the knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the less fear you have to stick with. There's always going to be a little luck factor, and there's always going to be a little fear factor. But you really want the majority of things to be grounded in knowledge and skill, which also translates into control. I wish I could draw like a really fast whiteboard map that just went from word to word to help you understand that. But hopefully you followed. So I wrote a book. If you've seen any of my videos, you probably know about my book. It's called Not Your How-To Guide to Real Estate Investing, Life Lessons on Hacking Your Mind Before You Hack Your Wallet. Despite the title saying Not Your How-To Guide, later in the book, I actually give you a little bit of a how-to guide. It's really how to get started, how to choose your strategy, all of those things. But secondarily to those things that you have to decide is knowledge about investments. So let's say you're going to buy a rental property. What knowledge do you need to have in order to not be reliant on the luck? And in all fairness, Real estate investing is very tricky in order to figure out what that knowledge is. It's why I wrote the book, because there are a lot of people talking about how you should do things, how you shouldn't do things. It's complicated, I get it, and there's not like one set how-to guide of how to do these things, which I think is why so many people accidentally end up relying on luck. It's not that they're not willing to get the knowledge, they just don't know what knowledge to get. So that's what I try and help with in my book. Page 154, depending on, I guess, what format you're reading it in, I actually break some of these things down. Let's say you're going to buy a rental property. What pieces of knowledge do you need to have in order to have control over that investment? For example, what factors or what things make a rental property successful? In contrast, what things make a rental property unsuccessful? How do you run the numbers on a rental property? So I literally list out bullet points of the questions you need to have the answers to. And I think there's only 5, maybe 6 bullet points. It's not an extensive amount of knowledge. It's just the basics that are going to keep you out of trouble. If you can answer those questions, you are no longer going to be relying on luck. You're going to have control over your investment and control over the fate of your investment. So, what is the takeaway message here? The takeaway message is Allie is begging you not to rely on luck with your real estate investments, because I don't want you to fail. Because if you fail, you're going to think the industry is too complicated, you're going to be traumatized, you're going to get out of it. Very likely, unnecessarily so. I want you to stay in this industry because it's amazing. In order to do that, I want you to be comfortable. I want you to, we're all going to make mistakes. I want to help you avoid the big mistakes. So keeping the mistakes manageable, not too traumatizing, that's the goal. That's why I want you to stop relying on luck. Let me know what your questions are on this. I want to hear about this. How confident do you feel going forward in the strategy you've decided? Are you having problems figuring out what that knowledge is? How do knowledge and skills relate to each other in your experience? And how in control of your investments do you feel? To further this conversation, because it's one of my favorite conversations, I'm going to give you a link to 2 videos below. Number 1, it's all about staying in control of your investments. And it's kind of an interesting video because on one hand, I really want you to be in control of your investments, but then I also talk a lot about letting go of control of your investments. I know, right? So check out that video to figure out what in the world that even means. The second video is how to remove fear from the equation, especially if you're a brand new investor. A lot of people are debilitated with fear. So how do you counter the fear? Spoiler alert, it's in the same conversation. It's based and grounded in knowledge. Get the knowledge. Lastly, comment with what pieces of knowledge do you feel like you need and you don't know where to find them. I want to respond to you, and either maybe I'll have the answer for you or I can tell you where to find it. So until next time, focus on the knowledge, get luck out of this so you can take control of the fate of your investments and succeed. It's what we all want. Also, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to my channel.